Hello and welcome to the Better Players, Better People podcast. I'm pleased to be joined by Ryan Docherty today, who is a coach in Glasgow and is hopefully going to be joining us in Dubai September. Yeah. So welcome, Ryan. Thank you very much for your time today. First question. I always like parents to hear a little bit about the guest and what they're doing. The aim of this podcast, Ryan, is at parents, to try and educate parents on all factors around youth sport. And we only met last Saturday. I want to say, is it Saturday? Yeah. So less than a week. You had your inflatable pitch up on the same pitch as my son's football. Yeah. We got chatting straight away. I could tell similar philosophy in terms of approach to youth sport and football in particular. So if you don't mind, just share a little bit about your playing background, which I've been looking up this week. I think Celtic, Dundee, and then what you're currently doing now with 3v3 in Glasgow. Yeah,
appreciate that. It was good to chat, and I appreciate that insightful look, and it's good to be invited on. Historically, I came through Celtic, Dundee United, then more part-time. Probably in the early stage of my career, I realised I wasn't going to be a player at any level, so I dedicated myself to the coaching. So I've been doing that now for close to 20 years. Grassroots initially, I've done a bit of part-time senior stuff, and I set up my own academy 10 years ago in Glasgow, and we sit just below the academy, set up officially, your major teams, your Celtic, Rangers, Hearts, etc., and we'll supply kids to them. We've grown quite significantly over that period, and I've developed a real passion and appetite for developing kids within that structure. We're probably sitting about 400 to 500 kids, but we serve around 1,000 a week in terms of working with schools and one-to-ones and different elements of youth development. So that's my passion is. The appetite probably came from learning under really good coaches when I was young. And as I said, I really thought, right, if I can't impact the game playing, then the next best thing is coaching.
Yeah. It's a natural progression, isn't it? I think a lot of players, even if they've finished a professional career, will go into coaching. But what's quite interesting there is you said you noticed early on you weren't going to stay in the game or, make it a full-time living. So you've coached for 20 years alongside playing. I think that in itself, for me, just, screams how much you love the game, but also coaching and bringing through the next generation. Would that be a fair comment?
Yeah, I think I had my licence in elite youth by 30, and going through that stage, I probably began the journey about 24, and that was playing part-time lower league in Scotland. That was probably unusual, but I was dedicated to it, and I served my time getting out in the grass with balls and volunteering, and that's where I got the appetite for it. The journey, I suppose, has been up and down. Initially, I thought I was probably going to go and work part-time. That sometimes seems inevitable, that you're going to go work within that structure. However, I quickly realised that my passion was with kids and developing younger age groups, and then over and above that, developing people in terms of my staff, in terms of my parents, out with that. And we've now grown a real good, hungry team who work back home in Scotland.
How many coaches you got?
We've got 18 just now. We've got 3 full-time members of staff. The rest are part-time. They're going through their coaching journey, their badges, etc., which probably isn't as important in my opinion. However, there's a need for it back home in terms of that recognition to be registered by the SFA and the governing body. However, we have a methodology we work towards within the academy, and the guys work towards that in terms of learning as well as their badges.
So I've sat with so many coaches from Dubai. They tend to be coaches who've worked in the sector back in the UK or whatever country they've come from. You're probably the first person I've sat down with who's currently still working in youth sport. So what's the reality of youth sport currently? What would you grade it? What's going well? What would you like to change and improve with youth football back in Scotland?
Listen, it's still phenomenally popular. I think it's becoming more and more toxic, if I'm honest, because of parents' expectations, social media, driving agendas. However, for me, it's about educating these people. What's good about it is still the love of the game. I think there's a lack of, particularly in Scotland, adequate facilities to support the development pathways. For example, we'll play 9v9 at a certain age group, but we don't have any 9v9 pitches in Scotland. There is more adequate facilities down south, and we've been on a journey down to play a lot of the academies down there just to give them their reputation. So I think that's a big challenge. As I say, the toxicity within the parenthood is probably a major challenge, but that's inevitable. And it's just about sometimes allowing people to go through that journey, going through their path, or indeed trying to educate them, given my experience. But that's becoming more and more challenging with social media, I suspect.
Yeah. You've touched on parents there. Look, our careers, I didn't play to the level you played at, but I've coached for 20 years, so similar amount of time working in youth football. And you brought up parents there. Let's get into the parents straight away, because I don't know if it's because I'm older and I'm getting less patient with certain grumbles, or it genuinely is a trend I'm seeing. But the influx in parents who just misunderstand what the game is about, and the fact that you've just said there, when I asked you what's the reality, the first thing you said is the love of it's still there, it's still popular. We'd hate to sit here and go, the kids aren't playing, which potentially could be something that we have in the future. If it is toxic, like you said there, that potentially could be, but it's not the case. The reality right now is kids still love to play. Tell me about parents in Scotland, because I know I can share stories about parents here, good and bad. What's the toxic element that you touched on there?
Yeah, it's important that you don't serve everyone with the brush, I guess. We've got a fantastic parent culture, I suspect, but that's taking time. You know, this has taken me 10 years, and still we're on the journey. We are very much, parents want to be heard, and they have a right to be heard. They want to understand the development, the challenges. However, that can't be an ongoing day-to-day process, and that's taking time for us to educate our parents. How we manage to overcome that is develop an online portal where we can communicate with our parents. We have banned all WhatsApp communication, and we do so through our app, which we've developed. Again, forward thinking, try to overcome challenges. How do we give parents a voice without constant communication? I've had texts at 10 o'clock at night, 7 in the morning, about stuff we've already explained. So we've moved completely away from WhatsApp communication, because ultimately it doesn't serve anyone. We do so through our app, and we do so through our development pillars, which are outwork, outscore and outthink the opposition. And that's the only place that I'll take communication from parents is around those three pillars. So
I think back to when I was in Liverpool, we used to run a Sunday league, alongside the college I work for. So you have an app now. Tell me about the app, because everyone seems to have apps these days. What's a junior football club in Glasgow got with an app?
So we moved everything onto our app, and what that allows us to do is we'll have all our matches, our times, squads, etc. within that one place. Over and above that, we have a portal, a communications portal, where parents will communicate with us. So we have a feedback portal where we will have live feedback. So at a given stage, we're just in December to January there, where you will go in and communicate with us, kid-led. So it will be like regarding our various pillars, outwork, outthink and outscore the opposition. There'll be various questions about, give me an example, and then we have live interaction with that. We can then share some of our video footage about then proactive in terms of, listen, what about this example? And that gives an opportunity for parents to interact. So that's that December to January window where there's no matches. And we shut that down come February, getting ready for the matches beginning in March. And that's the parents' opportunity for feedback, because there's no point in coming to me in April and say, how's James getting on? Because no, a lot's changed since January, or he might be going through a wee phase. You need to see that through the cycle of games, which will take you through to May.
You mentioned you've got a fantastic parent culture.
Yeah.
What does that look like?
That's taking time. So we don't accept any parent interaction at the side of the pitches. Not allowed to approach my coaches. Don't mean that to sound, draconian, but do not approach us at the side of the pitches. You do so on the Monday. No negativity. Yeah. No negativity. It's a negativity-free zone, and we have that up above all our sessions. Negativity-free zone, and there still is stuff that goes on, but slowly but surely we're changing that. The culture's also informed by winning, which I think is a major challenge back home. We've managed to battle a reputation where we're based on development and how we play football, and that's what I want to be. It's not about the result, and that's taking time. That informs that toxic culture, and unfortunately that just comes from a lack of, again, probably expertise and probably governance around small-sided games, which just doesn't exist back home. And over and above that, you've also got a West of Scotland culture, which comes from winning historically, your old firm, everything that comes with that. So it's probably similar. Liverpool, everybody's passionate, and that informs sometimes a real difficult culture beside the pitches.
Football, they love to throw that term around, don't they? Passionate. When really what we're seeing on the TV is maybe a lack of respect, it's a lack of understanding, and it can be framed as passionate, can't they? I think that's probably used an awful lot in football. To go back to that sideline culture, you mentioned there, no negativity, don't approach the coach. Do you allow them to instruct? Do you allow praise? Encourage? So only encouragement, no instructions. And this is like a parent contract they'd have to sign?
Yeah, they sign up. Yeah. Essentially, that doesn't necessarily transfer, to be fair, but it's a culture, and it will take years and it'll take time, but that's what we're trying to implement.
And the clubs you play, do they have the same approach, or is it, do you come up against clubs? We do at schools. We'll have 2 weeks ago, I took a group of students to Abu Dhabi. It was a residential, it was a Middle East Games, and I actually got the parents in on day one and just explained, this is what you're going to see. We're going to rotate the players. Other schools, parents might shout negative comments. They might actually shout towards the referee. We did have that. Yeah. But I just preempted that by getting our parents in and give them, if you want, a team talk. I did the kids and then I called the parents and it was a team talk with them. Unfortunately, you can't control other clubs, can you? So what's the environment like outside of your club? Is that where the toxic element comes in? Yeah,
it can be. It can be. There are certain clubs in certain areas potentially. And again, this comes from probably a negative outlook on their own lives or their children's lives, potentially. It's difficult to define that, I guess. But we are slowly but surely trying to contribute towards better culture in football. We provide cards to our opposition before we play, just saying who we are. We're opposition, we're here, we thank them. It's a thank you card. We thank them for being our opposition. This is how we're going to conduct ourselves. We try and eliminate communication via refs. We try and do things properly. We will remove people for children for bad behaviours, for swearing, etc. And again, it's just that cultural thing. We don't always get it right, because you do get caught up in the game sometimes, but most of our parents have slowly but surely came with that. What I would suggest, though, it depends on the age group. So we'll go right from smaller 5, 6 right up to 11 sides, and you'll see a difference depending on where you are in terms of those age groups. Parent behaviours, in my experience, if they've came through it in terms of those early years, then they're a bit more respectful. They get caught up in the winning and the losing, and our academy is about the development, the performance piece rather than the outcome.
I think that is certainly everything I'm trying to achieve with this, because what you're trying to do there is create the person.
Yeah.
So the idea, I've never heard that before, of an opposition taking a card. I think that's brilliant.
Yeah.
I think more clubs and schools should adopt that. Yeah, it sets the tone, doesn't it? I say this I say this time and time again to my PE team and other PE teachers I've come across. If I walk up to you as the opposition coach, shake hands, we have a little bit of chat on the sideline, it just keeps that quite calm tone as adults, and that does filter into the kids. You know,
kids will feed off of you.
They will. They absolutely will. So if the coach is on the sideline having just a friendly chat, I think other people pick up on that.
But it comes from self-confidence in you as a coach and what you're providing. That's where it comes from, your calmness. If you're confident in what you're going to do that day, and that takes away from that nervousness around the result. If I'm taking a 7-a-side game or a 9-a-side game and I'm just wanting to see, so we'll set I want 10 passes before we can score, then I'm comfortable with the outcome. It doesn't matter. But that takes years of evidence-based how I'm providing players and how I'm developing players to then go, this is what I'm looking for.
When did you join an academy? What age were you in an academy?
Oh, I was in from 8, 9 maybe.
So you weren't really in the Sunday League environment. Really. So you've went through an academy, you've reached the highest level you can get to. So you really shouldn't have a problem selling this idea, should you really? And I'm sure that's where the motivations come from. You've seen how it should be done. Yeah,
but what social media allows you to do, and forgive me for just painting as that, is it allows you to portray things which aren't actually true. So people are able to sell a dream that doesn't actually exist, and how they develop kids. You know, you get people saying, I've developed a kid to take them to Celtic or Rangers and they're 7. What have you actually done? Have you followed some of the clubs in Dubai, Ryan? There's a few clubs who will preach that, unfortunately.
Okay, so let's talk about your experience within the academy. What does that look like? I'm guessing the parents on the sideline just were absolutely not allowed to instruct, commentate. There was
a lot stricter.
It's a lot stricter, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now we're talking about a professional environment. It's professional. There's a lot of funding going into that. Yeah. The end goal is to create the best players they can. Yeah. What are the differences between academy, a proper academy, and what we see currently with youth football? What are the differences on the sideline?
Again, I'd go back to the Scotland and England comparison, which I think is major. When we go down south, I see a lot more better behaviours and good coaches. The academy structure in Scotland is good. There's a report recently which suggests that there's a lot of improvement still to be made. They're going to withdraw some of the funding. I'm led to believe, but what we like to be in terms of on the ball academy is akin to any of the academies in Scotland, which is tough. Essentially, it's about the facilities. It's about the ability to play better opposition more often than not. The coaches, I know most of them are all good guys and want to be professional and want to get on. So I guess there is a bit of difference in the culture. I think there is a bit more respect towards the coaches. I haven't personally dealt with disrespect. I have actually towards me, but there's a lot more respect within these academies. Parents still have the same frustrations, I suspect. However, they're more obliged to I guess not approach a coach for some reason. I don't know why that is. It must just be about a perceived illusion of respect. And that's something we're trying to change at our club and in the greater game of Scottish football with grassroots clubs working with them. Initially, there's that phase where you have that potential rivalry. However, we're now trying to work with clubs rather than against them, because ultimately we all can't win all the time, and our kids can't get better without opposition, without referees, etc. And it's just about changing that culture. It comes with experience, and it comes with, again, confidence within ourselves, the evidence-based approach that I can say, I don't need to win all the time. We don't need to win all the time.
Do you know, when I asked that question, what's the current state of youth football, I didn't know what to expect, but that's quite pleasantly surprising. That it does sound like it's in a very good place. There's people like yourself involved. I don't
think kids are playing enough football though, mate.
Yeah.
They're not touching the ball enough.
Is that because of the social media? Is that because the kids don't play out no more? If
I think of the academy structure in Scotland again, you will, so let's say Celtic or a Glasgow based club will go and play Aberdeen. It's a 3-hour journey to play in a 90-minute game, to touch the ball. I don't know, let's say you're a left back, touch ball 50 times, you have 40 problems to solve.
Okay.
So if I have them in a grassroots playing a 3v3, you time your X and that by.
Let's come on to that, because that's the big thing that I really want to get into in small-sided games. But I just think, just to summarise there, I'm really pleased to hear that there's strides being made on the touchline. Yeah. And hopefully families that are moving and relocating, what we're asking for here, it will help, because if you come from an environment where those standards are in place.
Still here, I think, which may trouble.
I think that comes down to individual schools, organisations that are running leagues and so on. I think it's changed. It definitely has changed in the last 5 years in terms of not pressure to win, but parents holding that prestige of trophies, medals and scorelines and league tables and positions has definitely got...
better.
No, I'd say it's probably got more paramount that parents are thinking about that and looking at that as a comparison. But I think tools like this, getting out to parents and educating them and saying it really doesn't matter. And I was talking to someone this week about what age would you cut that off from, and I do think all the way up to like under 12, under 13, scrap it, scrap the leagues, because it just allows parents, coaches, some teachers who are ill-informed, who are probably stuck in the ways, they haven't evolved with the science and the research and everything we know about what long-term development looks like, they still go to that. That's something I've noticed. But I think there's hope. I think there is hope, because there's a lot of good eggs. There's a lot of good people who, Liam, as we know, with us up, 100%. Good approaches and looking after the kids the right way. Let's get into small-sided games, because I love this. Any new member of staff, any new PE team, which it was for me last year, this is one of the first trainings that I would deliver on the power of small-sided games. You talked about touches there, the lack of touches. They travel, the left back touches the ball 50 times. I've not got the numbers in front of me, but there was there was a report from Manchester United's academy about the increased amount of touches, time on the ball, decisions to be made when you play a small-sided game. Now, for parents, they will look at 7-a-side as okay, let's play 7-a-side, but ultimately they want to get to 11-a-side. We do not need to rush that process. Talk to me about what you've done with 3v3.
So I, part of my studies back about 10 years ago, I travelled Sweden, Holland in particular, and I looked at Utrecht, and they did a lot of small-sided. And what I took from it, they done 3v3, 2v2s, 2v1s, overloads, etc. And I brought it back. In Scotland, we do 4v4. And which is fine. However, in training, I always did 3v3. The reason I did that was I looked at Pep and he'd worked in triangles. So I thought, right, if he's worked in triangles, how do I then get that to my kids? So it's 3, and then 3 + 1, whatever it was. So everything I've done is 3v3. And over 6 to 8 years, I've seen how my kids have developed. And fundamentally, what we did at training was we looked to get 1,000 touches of the ball every session. So we would do that within a warm-up or whatever it was. So let's get 1,000 touches of the ball. 3v3s, then you get more touches, more problems to solve, etc. So from that, then we began to do a kind of games-based approach where I did different rules, different conditions. I love to work with overloads. So if the ball goes off, kid goes to get the ball, it's 3v2, it's 2v1. I throw 2 balls in, it's chaos. It's that old street football. And then I look to get the boundaries. So I looked about and where can we get the boundaries? We bought a couple of the inflatable air arenas. And from there, we just grew it. We worked with academies back home. We have it as a basic foundation for our training back home. We will have a 3v3. And now we've bought, X amount of pitches. We built a business. We brought it out to the UAE to try and hopefully inform kids and coaches about how to fundamentally grow or develop kids.
So the FA in England has brought this initiative in.
Yeah.
And through my network back in the UK, there's a lot of resistance. And I go back to what I've just said before. Parents want 7v7. Parents want to see traditional matches, goalkeepers, defenders, etc. This goes against that slightly with certain age groups. But you've just said something there. You noticed, I think it was 6 years, you said, accelerated progress.
Yeah.
So let's underpin that. How did they accelerate their progress? What's the science behind 3v3?
Touches the ball.
Yep.
Quite frankly, touches the ball. What I did within that 3v3, I did a small area, big area, different areas. We just mixed it up. I just really believed in it and stuck with it. Then we went to 4v3. We'd do so then you'd create an overload. Yeah. So you try and create you've got your 3 in an area. So as you break up an 11-a-side pitch, break up your side of your pitches, kind of get a 4 over to create a 4v3. So everything's in 3s. And then you have that extra man.
And obviously the inflatable pitch, the ball doesn't go out. It bounces back in. It's more time on the ball. Yeah. How did the kids respond? What do you find?
Oh, they love it.
They love it, don't they?
They love it. Because you gamify, they're learning.
Yeah.
The kids love it. Yeah. I was explaining to somebody earlier on, I was having a conversation actually, and I was in Dubai doing the 3v3s, and a kid came up and I'm sitting on the side of the pitch like you seen last week, and he's like, I think he was, I'm not sure where he was from, broken English, and he's like, no ref, no rules, no goalies. What is this? And I'm like, that's exactly what this is.
Yeah.
Like, that's exactly what this is. Yeah. Just no limits.
You mentioned before kids aren't playing.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you were alluding to the fact that they're sitting on long bus journeys to games.
Yeah.
And I've had so many people, and we always say they're not playing out enough. That 3v3 arena replicates street football. It does, doesn't it?
That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it, mate. And jumpers for goalposts, like, it's just have fun. Like, it just we had a massive event in Glasgow on Christmas, 26th of December, and we done 300 kids, and it was just so if I think in my day-to-day job in my academy, I'll have 10 complaints a day, no problem. We done 300 kids, not one complaint. Not one in one day. The kids were just so happy. We don't allow parents at the side. Parents aren't allowed to coach. Just play for hours. And
how many pitches was that? Did you have 50?
We've done 12 pitches.
12 pitches.
12 pitches. So we've done full day. We have the music on, interaction, just fun. Just let's have fun. Yeah. It's amazing.
Never mind the kids. I think the adults would love a go at that as well.
Honestly, it was. We did a parents v coaches game in the middle of it. Just what a laugh. Just a hoot and good vibes. But taking it further back, the air pitch can be, or the air arena can be a little bit of a gimmick. However, we're really serious about how that informs the kids' development. What I've did since then is built an app. So the app then, again, condition games, different rules, parents can follow that. You spoke earlier on about the competition piece and how do we either have that integrated or how do we remove it? And if parents are able to see live on the app, we don't count scores, we count nutmegs, we count stepovers, we count overhead kicks, yada, yada, yada. Whatever you want, make it up. And it's just that's what they're counting. Then that's informing them. And over time, you'll see that culture change to whatever age you want to get to. In my opinion, probably 10, 11 before you then start getting to a 7-a-side. Or do you do a hybrid approach where you do 3s, you do 5s, different nights? Yeah. That would probably be, I think, the ideal solution. But from a early age, 3, put them in that arena and just let them kick a bit of a ball.
If it's good enough for Pep, exactly. It's good enough for us, isn't it? It's not. Right, okay, so small-sided games. Yeah. Hopefully people who've just watched the last 5 minutes, listened to the last 5 or 6 minutes would understand. First of all, the kids love it. Like, they love it, more touches, more decisions. Like, enough said. We just need to facilitate that. And this idea, by the way, no refs, and you could do it with reduced number of coaches. You just set them up and play. Yeah. And I'm a big believer that as a PE teacher, it creates independent social skills and so on. Let's talk about that aspect in the journey of supporting the 1%, the less than 1%. What does that give the players who then continue in the programme? Because they will ultimately have to play 7v7, 9v9. Yeah. What's the importance of that for the players who you potentially have sent on to? Have you had any kids that have took part in that and then went on to a club?
Yeah, we've done 96 kids in the academies in Scotland.
Who've played 3v3?
Yeah, all came through the same methodology.
Okay, so if you don't mind, let's just kind of roadmap that for parents. 3v3, lots of touches, decision making, ball manipulation. They're on their own. It's not like they're learning through play. What's next?
So it's constant play as well. We do 8-minute matches. Yeah. So it's constant. There's no rest. The ball's always in play.
So the fitness element comes into it.
Mental fitness, always thinking. Different problems to solve because I put a different condition on. I might change the condition. I might take a player off. I might have a bit of fun. So that's not only informing their football development, but also their mental development, their resilience, their game understanding.
So when they go into positions, you don't have to teach a year 7 boy who's new to football, year 7 girl, for example, who's new to football, what a defender does.
How old would that be? Sorry, it's probably
under 8s.
Right, okay, so
7-year-old. Sorry, yeah, because I see it now. Here we have a structure where we play 7-a-side, and the girl's brand new to the game. The girl can't control the ball. So why not? Why are we not moving to this model where they're just learning to control the ball? Why are we trying to, fast forward the progression, the development? That should come later.
When does a kid take tactical information on? You'd be lucky 14, 15. So exactly. I don't know why we're putting them on 11-a-side pitch early, any younger than 12. Because if a kid's developed and played football for 7, 8 years, you put them on 11-a-side pitch, they can play football. They'll figure it out. They'll figure it out. They're a centre mid, they're a left side, they're a striker. You begin to see that. They don't take any tactical information on until further up the line.
So the 96 kids that you've put into a professional academy, you've worried about tactical information at 14. Is that right? 12, 10, 11, 12, 14?
So inadvertently, we give them cards, so we gamify it. So when you come into my 5-a-side team, we call you an astronaut or a wizard or a... Okay. So we gamify their position. Yeah. That's how we teach them tactics. Oh, right, okay. And if you're a wizard, you're in a wide area, and your job in a wide area is to beat the man and or track back. Very simple. That's you as a wizard, and we move them out of the pitch. Yeah. That's how we gamify it, and then as you go to 7s, there's another additional, I think it's a connector in the middle of the park and so forth. That's how we teach them tactically.
That's brilliant.
That's it. You don't need to... We do a wee bit of video analysis, so we'll do the video, we'll put it on they self analyse their videos. They just go on and they do a wee checkpoint if they want to. If they don't want to, that's fine, that's up to them. It's their learning, it's their journey, it's not mine.
And the players that have gone on, what did they have... let's paint a picture of what they look like. The players who've been selected to play for clubs... Yeah. What's their skill level like, but also what's their personality like? What's their attitude?
Personality is probably the most important, I suspect.
Let's describe
they've all got skill, they're all technical. Yeah. But have they got personality? Can they play with a smile on their face? Can they react well to adversity? Can they react well to coaching? Do they take coaching on? Yeah. In terms of coaching from the side, we'll just ask them wee nuggets, wee questions, rather than necessarily telling them where to go, where to be. Yeah. But personality for me, I think, is bigger than skill.
Yeah. Being coachable,
being happy, being a lifelong learner, being ready to go through anything that comes your way.
Yeah.
And get back to my journey, I potentially probably lacked that to go to that next level, and I recognise that. But the guys I see just now who I think have got half a chance, because there's an awful long way to go, have that personality in abundance.
Yeah.
And play with a smile on their face.
Ryan, I think we'll end on that. That's been amazing, mate, and I look forward to you joining Dubai in the future, and hopefully we can sit down and probably talk a little bit longer about football and 3v3 and see how you're getting on when you make the move.
I can do so all day, mate. Perfect.
Yeah. Thanks, mate.
Top man. Cheers.